class begins, we'll all mute up again. So go ahead and find a comfortable seat. Ideally, if you can lift your hips a little bit above your knees, that will invite some more opening there. And we'll begin here, one hand to your heart, one plugging into the ground. Invite your eyes to close, and your awareness to shift from the outer to the inner space. And just mentally following the path of your breath inwards here. Noticing as you inhale the areas of your body that respond with emotion as you inhale. So feeling into that lift in your upper chest. Maybe sensing some movement in the lungs, the belly as you breathe inwards here. And then feeling also the physical movement that accompanies your exhale, that sensation of drawing inward. The muscles coming in towards your midline. And let yourself simply be present here, present for this breath. Present for the small movements and shifts in energy that accompany your breathing in, breathing out. We do a lot of outer movements of the body in our practice. But ultimately, our goal with yoga is to connect more deeply and create more awareness of this inner space. So let your awareness expand here, noticing areas that might be holding tension, areas that might be resistant to more mobility. Noticing if the mind is holding on to anything. Just mentally, if you are just mentally boxing that up, setting that aside. And coming here in this stillness to an awareness of your intention for your practice. What reason brings you to your mat today, maybe every week? As you connect with your intention, let's release your chin in. Let your chin come in. Let your hands come together in Anjali Mudra or prayer position. Allow for your eyes to begin to open. And we'll settle the hands down, lift the chin upwards here, just coming back to this space. And coming into some easy movements in the shoulders. So nice, easy rolling of your shoulders here. And here I'll invite you to mute. I'll mute for you. You don't have to mute. I've got you. And so just finding that easy movement in your shoulders, easy rolling into the shoulders. And here we'll pause and then roll in the opposite direction. So rolling forwards and down instead of backwards and down. Good, nice inhale here. Let's soften the shoulders. Exhale, let your chin come inward. We'll begin just to trace a simple circle with your chin and your nose. Tracing a simple circle here, beginning to move and release into your neck. Bringing awareness to the back teeth, into your jaw. And the next time you find your chin drawing in, we'll pause and then trace that circle in the opposite direction. And the circle could be as big or as small as serves your needs today. Really keeping this awareness inward so that you can fully meet yourself where you need for your practice today. So less concerned with this idea of outer form, more concerned with watching the way your body responds to your practice. Let's bring ourselves back to center here, bringing the gaze back to center. Bottom of your chin here is going to come parallel to the ground, and invite your ears backwards in space to center over your shoulders. And just release one ear towards one shoulder, just stretching into the side neck. Gaze here forward. Playing here, gaze here forward, and then experimenting with rotating the gaze down. Maybe lifting your eyes up, keeping that ear towards that same shoulder, but just experimenting to see which of these variations will give you the best stretch. As you find your stretch today, extend your opposite arm outwards. Just extending that arm outwards. And if the hand reaches the ground, you can press those fingertips down. Mine doesn't this morning. I'm going to use a block to press my fingers into. Feel free to do the same. But just breathing here, using that action of fingers pressing down to find a greater release in these muscles in the side neck. Might stay here, might take the hand of the shoulder you're stretching towards, wrap that hand behind your back. That hand behind your back, bringing the back of your hand either to the center, sacrum of the back, or wrapping all the way around. Breathing deeply here. Good, big inhale here. Hold this shape for your exhale. Inhale, bring yourself back to center. Long spine, long neck. Ears here, centering over your shoulders. If you were using a block, go ahead, set that block on the opposite side. And then we'll just tick-tock your ear over to the other shoulder. So start with gaze forward, checking in here. And when we practice asymmetrically like this, it's helpful to give yourself permission to be different side to side. So checking in here, and then maybe checking in, rotating gaze down, looking over that shoulder, looking gaze up, and then choosing which of these variations on this side will give your body the best stretch. So stay there with that eye orientation that gives you the best release into the opposite side of your neck. Extend your other arm outwards here. Plug your fingertips into the ground or into a block. Use that action of pressing down with your fingers to enhance your stretch. Option to stay here, or take the hand of the shoulder you're stretching towards and loop that hand behind your back. Good, on an inhale, settle both hands back to your lap. Bring your head back towards center. Nice inhale here, stretch the 10 fingers up. Exhale, take a simple twist to one side. Bring one hand to its opposite knee. Other hand comes behind your body, pressing into the ground. Use that back hand pressing down to lengthen your spine upwards. Soften your jaw as you gaze over your back shoulder. And then inhale here, bring yourself back to center. Stretch your fingers up. Exhale, twisting to the opposite side. Good, find your breath here, even in the constriction that the twist offers to the lungs. Inhale here, bring your body back to center. Stretch your fingers to the sky. Draw your palms together. Use your exhale to bring both hands to heart center. Good, here we'll transition to hands and knees. So finding hands and knees. If you need a blanket beneath your knees, go ahead and give yourself that blanket. And as you find hands and knees here, let's take simple movement into the spine. So drop your belly down, pull your gaze upwards. Here's your inhale. Round into your spine. Let the weight of your head drop down. Here's your exhale. Allow yourself to move through these movements with your breath, inhaling to a broad spine, lifted eyes. Exhaling, rounded spine, gaze comes back. Might even close your eyes to go inwards, really connect with how these movements are feeling in your body today. Noticing areas of mobility in the spine, in our torso as we move. Also connecting with those areas of stability, those areas that don't move as much. Yoga is all about finding that balance between moving and stretching, but also stabilizing. Good. Nice breath inwards here. Let's bring ourselves back to a neutral spine. Gaze is down. Good. Go ahead and walk your right foot here between your hands. Right foot is between the hands, always the option to lift your hands up on blocks here. Back toes of the left foot are curled under here. Good, and holding here. So taking a moment, allowing the fascia to warm, to open. As we hold here, draw your muscles in towards the midline. Notice if you're hyperextending into the arms, pressing into the shoulders, draw your shoulder blades towards each other on your back body. Bring your neck in alignment with your spine by drawing your chin inward, drawing the back of your head closer to the top of the ceiling here. And our outer body here in a little bit of stillness. Inner body, though, is bright with the breath. And what you might notice here as you breathe consciously is your body just starts to respond. Just as cold butter held between the hands will start to soften, the fascia responds to these longer holds with really directed breath. Good. Really conscious of the breath. Follow each inhale. Follow each exhale. Next exhale, press into your palms. Invite your front foot backwards underneath its same hip. Walk your fingertips now closer to your knees. So send your hips closer to your heels. Keep both sets of toes curled under as you do this. We're breathing here into a stretch for the plantar fascia, the soles of your feet. You might stay fingertips down. This tends to be an intense stretch if you don't normally stretch this area, or we can bring hands to our knees. Now, hands are to the knees. All 10 toes are going to stay curled under. So hands are on the floor supporting you or at our lap. Good. Let's bring the hands to the heart, fingers pointing inwards. Good. Inhale, stretch your arms away from each other. Exhale, bring your hands inwards. And breathing here. Inhale, open arms. Exhale, drawing in. A few more times, moving with your breath. Good. Next time your hands come in, let's reach for the ground if your hands aren't there already. And as your hands come down to the ground, lift your toes up, wiggle your toes. Roll into your ankles here. Good. Settle the tops of your feet back down to the ground. Bring your opposite foot forward between your hands. Good. And hands, like me, you might be up on blocks. You might have your hands on the ground. Either is okay. Let's curl those back toes under for stability. Good. And just aligning here, aligning so that we can allow our fascia to open in this healthy manner. So aligning front ankle beneath the front knee, straight line, hip to knee. Feel your shoulder blades draw towards each other in the back body. Spine nice and straight here. Gaze down, but neck is in alignment with your spine. Let your awareness here go towards your breath. It's following the sensation of breathing in, the sensation of breathing out. Good. One more inhale here. Use your exhale. Send that front knee backwards underneath its same hip. Walk your hands inwards here. And as you walk your hands inwards, uncurl the toes. Bring the tops of the feet to the ground. Toes uncurled, tops of the feet down. Here, stretching into the tops of the feet and the front of your ankles. So you might already be feeling a stretch here, hands down. If that's the case, keep your hands on the ground, breathe through this. If you'd like some more stretch, bring your hands upwards to your knees, or hands can come to heart center here. Good. You might be feeling a stretch here. If that's the case, allow yourself to pause here. If you'd like more, begin to lean the weight of your torso backwards. Keep the tops of your feet connected to the ground, but lift your knees away from the ground. Good. So we can be in any one of these places, hands down, hands on the knees, or hands at heart, knee lifted. And just breathing here wherever we are. Good. Inhale. Let's exhale. Lower those knees if they're lifted here. Bring your hands back down if they're not already. We'll walk our hands forward once more underneath the wrist. Stretch your legs behind you. Lift the feet away from the ground and find that rotation into your ankles. Good, so starting at the feet, because that fascia that we're working with really connects in the tops and the bottoms of your feet. So working to loosen that to find more access to space within the body. Let's take your first foot, walk your first foot forward between your hands here. Good, hands here on the ground or on your blocks. Keep your back toes curled under. Good, find some stability in the hips here. So feel your hips softening forward. Try to keep your hips stable as you inhale, press your back knee up and away from the ground. Exhale, lower that back knee down. Now hips are naturally, they're gonna move a little bit with this action, but we're trying to keep them as stable as possible, really just to direct this stretch. You probably are feeling it into the front of the quadricep of the back leg. So we're inhaling, pressing that back knee up. Exhaling, lowering, but really try to keep your hips as stable as possible here. Inhaling to lift, exhaling to lower. So the next time that back knee comes down, let's pause here. Invite your front knee back underneath its same hip. If you've been like me on blocks, go ahead, scoot those blocks out to the side. Take the same leg that we were lifting and lowering that back knee of, extend that leg long behind you, toes down. Good, here we'll begin to pulse forward and backwards, stretching into the calf muscles of your back leg. Now, as you press forward, you might just come to the tippy toes, or you might fully roll over your toes with that back foot. That really just depends on toe mobility that you have this morning. And we're just pulsing forwards and backwards. Really working deeply into all of the muscles of our legs this morning. And I don't know about you, but on my body, when I skip a day or if I miss my full practice one day, the legs are kind of the first to tighten up. And our leg muscles are so integral to how we walk Tight leg muscles could then really lead to tight back muscles, could lead to sore shoulders. So next time you pulse backwards here, let's pause, pressing back through your heel. Lift that same heel upwards. Cross over and lower your toes in the opposite corner of the mat. So leg is still long, heel still lifted. Look over your opposite shoulder and find that same movement here of pulsing forwards and backwards. Breathing deeply here. Good. Next time you press back through your heel here, use an inhale, lift your leg upwards, bring yourself back to center, settle that knee underneath its same hip. Walk the inner edges of your knees and thighs together. Feel the space. Uncurl your toes here. Bring your hips to one side, gaze to the opposite, and we'll tick-tock side to side here. Hips going in opposite directions, eyes looking over opposite shoulders. Good, and here, bring yourself back to center. Walk your knees here, hips width distance apart. Good, that same leg that we were stretching long, we're gonna bring that foot now forward between your hands. Option for blocks here. Good, as this front foot comes forward, back toes are going to curl under. Now, if you at any time feel unstable here, you can fix that by shortening the space between that back knee and your front heel. So if you have a lot of space there and you're feeling like you might fall or a little wiggly, go ahead and shorten that space. We're not working with balance in this moment. Good, so allow your hips to just soften forward. Good, feel into the stability of your hips, back toes curled under. We're going to play here. See if you can inhale that back knee up, keep those hips as stable as possible. Exhale, back knee lowering down. Good. Move here with your breath. We're inhaling to lift, exhaling to lower. And don't beat yourself up if your hips are moving here. That's okay. That's normal. We're just keeping them as stable as we can so we can really direct this stretch into the belly of the muscle. Good. Next time that back knee lowers, send your front knee backwards. Settle that knee beneath its same hip. Bring your hands fully to the ground here. Hands beneath your shoulders. Extend that same leg. So that front leg long behind you, or I'm sorry, that back leg, same leg that we were just stretching into, comes long. Find that pulsing here, forwards and backwards. Option to roll over your toes or not. Good, we'll do one more pulse backwards and then lift this leg up. Cross the leg over your back leg, lower the toes towards the corner of the opposite corner of the mat. Gaze over your shoulder and find here that forward and backwards here. Moving here in conjunction with your breath. Noticing the areas of tightness, noticing the way your body is responding to these movements. One more time, pressing back here. Use your inhale, lift these toes upwards, bring your leg back towards center, settle your knee to the ground. And we'll walk the knees inwards here. Feel the space between your thighs, uncurl your toes, and find that tick-tock side to side of your hips. Gaze over opposite shoulders. Good. Let this movement still. Bring yourself back towards center. As you come to center, keep your big toes together, but separate your knees the width of your mat. Send your hips towards your heels. Let your head lower down here, either coming all the way to the ground, or if your forehead doesn't quite come to the ground, you might slip a blanket underneath your head, or you might use a block, but give yourself something to soften into as your head comes fully to rest on the ground here. And as your head rests on the ground, let's find just a gentle massaging motion. So turn your head from side to side as if you're shaking your head no, massaging into the forehead above the brow. Let that movement still in your head. With your arms extended in front of you, lift the palms of your hands away from the ground. Walk both hands off the right side of your mat. Keep your left hip stretching back towards the left heel. Let your head also come out to the right here. Stretching and breathing here. You might keep your wrists side by side, or you might cross your left wrist over your right and just rotate your gaze looking out underneath that long left arm. Breath is steady here, taking this variation of our child's pose. Good, and if we cross the wrist, look to uncross the wrist, rotate your gaze back downwards, walk your hands through center and off the left side of your mat, taking this side stretch variation of our Balasana shape here. Hands could be side by side, or you might take that cross of now right wrist over left. Maybe rotate your gaze, looking out underneath your long arm. Breathing deeply, keep the right hip stretching towards the right heel. Uncrossing your wrists here, walk yourself back through center. And then lift your body upwards here, up into hands and knees, tabletop, walking your knees back inwards. Let's take a tall kneeling position here. Good. So we're a lot of weight on the knees this morning. So I want to reiterate, if your knees are bothering you and if you have a blanket, go ahead, settle that blanket underneath your knees. If you don't have a blanket and you need some softness, you can do this little trick with the yoga mat where you just add a little extra fold. So don't walk away with sore knees after today's practice. Do take good care. So we're tall kneeling here. Hands on the hips. And if you'd like, orient yourself so that you're facing the long side of your yoga mat. We're going to be utilizing the sides here. As we come here facing the long side of our mat, hands are on the hips. Let's extend the right leg long. So right leg comes out to the side, toes pointing forward, heels down if that's comfortable for your foot. And we'll just rest the right hand on your long right leg. Sweep your left fingers up to the ceiling here. As your left fingers come up, you might find a little bend in the left elbow to create more space in your shoulder. Let's play with how it feels to stretch that left thumb towards the wall behind you, really finding a nice opening into the chest here. Big breath in and exhale, lengthen towards your long leg. just as we did when we practiced releasing into the neck here, you might play with where your eyes look and how that might help you release more fully into your neck and your shoulders. So don't feel stuck looking forward here. You might find a better release looking up or by looking down towards your right foot. Big deep breaths here. Good. Inhale here. Holding for the exhale. Let's inhale, bring ourselves back to center. Settle both hands onto your hips. Bring that right knee inwards and extend your left leg outwards. Good. Settle your left palm on your long left leg. Sweep your right fingertips up here. Good. Option to bend into your elbow just to create a little bit more space into that left shoulder. Pull your left thumb back. Nice big inhale. Exhale, stretch long over your long leg. Gaze here, forward, up, or down. Really choose what serves you best today. Good. Next, inhale, bring your body back to center. Settle both hands onto your hips. Invite your long leg inwards here. Let's again orient ourselves to face the short side of our yoga mat. Bring both hands to the ground here. Good. And as both hands come to the ground, let's walk our right foot forward between our hands. Good. Right foot comes forward between the hands. Let's inch the right heel now a little bit more forward. So earlier in the class, we played with more stability. Here, we're going to play with a little bit more mobility. So we're consciously creating more space between this front heel and our back knee. And from here, I want you to invite both hands on the inner edge of that right foot. Walk your right foot slightly towards the outer edge of your mat. And so working here a little bit more into the hips, coming here into our lizard pose. Arms might stay long here. If you'd like to go a little deeper into the stretch into the hips, I like to do this with blocks. You can bring blocks beneath your hands and then bend your elbows so elbows are resting on your blocks. And the nice thing about blocks is they can be on any height as you're doing this. If you're comfortable, you're of course welcome to bring your hands all the way down to the ground here. I want you to find a space in your practice where you can breathe easily, a space where you don't feel like you're giving 100%. It's a little healthier to come into 70 or 80% of what's possible. That allows the fascia to open more naturally, the muscles to stretch more healthfully. It allows us to avoid injury. And so just coming here back to that long inhale, long exhale. Allowing our minds to settle into the movement of your breath in your body. With an awareness on the sensations of holding this longer asana. Good. If you're on your elbows here, let's begin to bring your palms back down to the ground. Let's begin to walk that foot between your hands. And then we'll send this foot backwards, coming back to our hands and knees. Good. As your foot comes backwards, let's stretch that same foot all the way backwards here. Press back through your heel. Rotate heel down, toes forward, like we did for our gate pose a moment ago. And then bring your right hand to your hip. So we're coming into variation of our side plank. Left knee is down, left hand is down, right leg is long. Might stay here, right hand in your hip, or you might stretch that arm parallel to your ear. Might bring that hand behind your back. Breathing here. Good. Inhale here. Let's exhale, bring it back down, bringing both hands beneath your shoulders, both knees beneath your hips. And then we'll walk other foot between your hands here. And so starting with that foot between your hands, hands surrounding that front foot, play with inching the sole of your front foot a little closer to that top line of your yoga mat. So seeking a deeper opening here, deeper stretch. And again, just keeping in mind, we don't want to be at 100%. We don't want to be at our body's level of capacity. You want to leave some room for natural opening. As you find that space, let's begin to work your hands inwards, work your foot outwards. And then find the level that you'd like to stay in as we come here into our lizard pose on this side. So working with blocks or not, arms might stay straight, might find a bend into the elbows. And keeping in mind those asynchronicity moments in our practice, those moments where right side and left side will have different levels of stretch that's needed. Allow yourself really to go inwards into the sensation and to explore what will serve you best in this moment on this side. Good deep breathing here. Notice when your mind wanders. Just bring your awareness back to this breath, this moment. And with our next inhale, we'll begin to bring our hands down, settle your blocks to either side. Work your front foot inwards and then invite that front knee backwards. Good. Stretch that same leg long. So same leg's going to go long, heel high. Rotate your heel down. Bring that hand to your hip, bringing yourself onto our other side, coming into this variation of our Vasisthasana or side plank. Might stay here, hand and hip, might wrap that hand behind your back, or you might take the option to stretch your arm long, reaching long, breathing wherever we are. Inhale here. And let's exhale, bringing it back, hands and knees. And from hands and knees, we'll come through a seated position and bring ourselves onto the back body. So as you come onto your back body, go ahead and lie down with your knees bent, pointing up towards the ceiling. Feet here are hip width distance apart. Go ahead and cross here your right ankle over your left knee. Good. As you cross that ankle over the knee, go ahead, press through your right heel. Keep the right toes moving towards your knee. So sole of your right foot is nice and flat, as if you're trying to make a perfect footprint. Begin to rock into the left knee. So rock that left knee side to side. Feel that movement coming into the right hip. Might feel the low back kind of rocking onto the earth, giving a little massage there. Let this movement be as big or as small as serves you. And breathing deeply here. Now, if this is already a good stretch for you into the right hip, you're going to stay with this movement. So the suggestions I offer, you'll just ignore. If this is working for you, go ahead and stay here. If you'd like more, let's find a stillness in this movement side to side. And let's play with how it feels to lift the left foot away from the ground. Interlace your hands behind your left thigh. Good, and we can play here. So if this is still a little bit too strong, you can play with how it feels to straighten the left leg. That's actually an easing off of the stretch into your right hip. If you'd like to intensify the stretch in your right hip, go ahead and reach your fingertips to interlace beneath the left knee, in front of the left shin. And so wherever we are here, let yourself come back to that movement of breath and body. Notice the way the physical self responds here, the mental self responds. You might tune in and notice any shifts in energy. Good, staying present for your inhale, present for your exhale. And next exhale, let's lower that left leg if it's lifted. Release your right ankle. Send the right foot pointing forward. Keep the right foot lifted and just hug the right knee in. So knee is pointing directly towards the torso. I'm hugging in with the fingers in front of the knee. You can do that with the hands behind the knee. It really just depends on how that hip is feeling. And here we'll come into a bigger movement side to side with the right hip. Moving laterally, that right knee side to side. Stabilizing the movement in your knee. Send this movement into your hip. Good. We might stay here. If you'd like more stretch into the right hip, pause with your right hip stretched out to the side so that knee is stable. We're bringing that knee out laterally to the side. So knee might be pointing towards the armpit here. And then bring your hands behind the right thigh, bend into the knee so that the sole of your right foot is pointing up to the ceiling. We're coming here towards a half happy baby pose. So you might stay here, hands behind your right thigh, might reach your right hand up, grab a hold of the outer edge of the right foot. Sole of your right foot is parallel to the ceiling here. Right thigh parallel to the ceiling, right knee drawing in towards the right armpit. And again, all these are options. You might still be here hugging that bent right knee inwards. So wherever we are, find your breath. Big inhale. Full, complete exhale. Using this practice to consciously weave together each breath and each movement. Using this practice to become aware of areas of mobility and stability. And to release those stuck areas. Good. Breathe deeply here. Send this prana throughout your whole body. Next exhale, let's release your right leg. Let your right leg lengthen long by your right side. Let that heel rest in the ground, toes pointing up to the ceiling. And just rock side to side onto your heel, rocking forcefully enough that the whole right leg is rocking side to side here. So that movement should come all the way up into your femur. Good, might even send your right hand down on top of the hip flexor. Breathing here. Let the right leg come to a stillness. Bend into your right knee. Cross your left ankle over the right knee. And as you cross ankle over knee, find that activation of the sole of your foot. Press through that lifted heel. Keep the toes drawing backward. Begin to rock here into your right knee, into the left hip. And these movements could be big, could be small. It's whatever serves you in this moment. Checking in to notice. So our hips are one of the biggest areas where we hold asymmetries in our body. And so just noticing as we work through, usually the hip that's tighter needs a little bit more time, right? So we don't want to force a bigger stretch onto that hip. Usually we just want to spend a little bit more time releasing that tightness. So if this is your stopping point, stay with this movement side to side. If this is your stretch, stay here. If you'd like to go further, begin to still this movement side to side. Lift your right foot away from the ground. Interlace your hands behind your right thigh. And options here, we might straighten that leg. That's actually an easing off of the stretch if you straighten the lifted leg. If you'd like to go further, bend into your right knee, interlace your hands in front of the right shin. And so just finding here which stretch serves you best. Breathe into it. Breathing here in our reclining pigeon. The Sanskrit, our Supta Ekapada Rajakapotasana. It's a mouthful for this shape. Nice inhale here. Let's exhale, release that right foot to the ground if it's not already. Uncross your left ankle. Keep your left foot lifted and use your hands to pull your left knee closer to your chest. Hands here could be in front of or behind that left knee. And just find that easy side to side movement. So lateral movement now into the left hip. Good, staying present for this sensation. Minds tend to chatter when the body comes to stillness. So just redirect your attention if your mind is chattery here, away from that chatter, the monkey mind, the yogis call it. Just bring yourself back into felt sensation of the body. So maybe staying here with this side to side movement. If you'd like to go further, take that furthest from the body, that furthest lateral swing of the leg. Bring your hands, if they're not already, behind the left thigh and bend into your knee so that the sole of your foot comes parallel to the ceiling. Good. Coming into our half happy baby pose. Might stay here, hands behind that thigh. Might reach the left hand up, grabbing a hold of the outer edge of your left foot. Breathing here. Now, Ardha Ananda Balasana, half happy baby. A big inhale here. Use your exhale, release your left leg long. As your left heel touches the ground, find that gentle windshield wiper motion side to side, rocking enough into the left heel that the whole left leg also rocks. You might even rest your hand on the left hip flexor. And if you're coming back to this video at another point in time and you do notice differences in tightness side to side, I would say maybe even just pause the video and take a little longer on the side that needs it. Spend a little bit more time and use that asymmetry in practice to find more symmetry in the body, more balance, hip to hip. Good, let's bend now into the left knee. So coming back to both knees bent to the ground. Invite one knee in towards your chest. Interlace your hands behind that thigh. Press your other heel forward. Press through that forward heel. Lift your body here up into a seat. There it is. There it is. Hello. Good. Coming into a seat, let's lengthen one leg long. Bend your other knee inward. Send that knee out to one side. Use your hands, draw the flesh away from the sit bones on your long leg. Stretch your arms up tall here and let yourself fold over your long leg, just breathing here. Coming into this easy Janu Shirshasana, long breath. Bend that knee of the long leg as much as you need to here. Easy breath here. Good. Walking both hands inwards. Lift your torso upwards. Use your hand to bring your bent knee inwards, and we'll switch to the opposite side. And as our other leg lengthens long, use your hand, draw the flesh away from the sit bones. Bend enough into the knees so that you don't feel a tugging behind your knee joint. And then an inhale, stretch your arms tall. Use your exhale just to soften forward here into this Janu Shirshasana. Let your breath go inwards here. Good, big inhale here. Holding for the exhale. Use your inhale, walk your hands inwards, lift your torso upwards. Draw your bent knee up towards center and then bring yourself once more lying onto your back body. As you come to lying on your body, if your low back is feeling a little tight, a little uncomfortable, keep your knees bent. Walk your feet out to the outer edges of your mat and let your knees knock towards each other. If your low back feels good, take that classic Shavasana, that legs long, hands down by your side, palms upturned. Let your body rest here, resting on the ground, eyes closed. Take a big inhale here, and at the top of your inhale, find a gentle hold of your breath. And then let your breath release in an exhale, big sigh. We'll do it again. Nice inhale, little hold at the top of your inhale. And let your breath release with a sigh. And here, withdraw control of your breath. Allow your breath to come into an unforced pattern. Breathing easily here. Allowing for this stillness, for this space, to allow the different aspects of this practice to sink inwards. And let your awareness here very gently return to the movement of your breath. And finding those small movements in your body as they make sense. A wiggle of your toes, fingers, little rotation of your wrists and ankles. As you're ready, take a nice big stretch. Fingers backwards, toes forward. Bring your knees towards your chest and wrap your arms around your knees. Give yourself a hug here and some movement from side to side. And then allow yourself to rest easy here on one side. Bringing yourself, as you're ready, up into a comfortable seat. And as you find your seat, let's return to this shape of one hand pressed to the heart, one to the ground. Eyes closed. Let your awareness wander over this internal space. Checking in here with the way you're feeling physically, mentally, energetically, and emotionally. And then bring your palms towards each other, bow your head inwards, thank yourself for creating this time to connect with your breath and your practice today. I'm so grateful to be able to share practice with you. Thank you.